Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we have once again with more TNA. This one, as you know, we are now on the road to the latest pay per view coming up, Bound for Glory. So, a lot of battle lines are being drawn. So, what's going to happen before we get there? What matches are going to be set until that end? Well, we're going to see a whole lot of things taking place as well. So, buckle up. And then, of course, we move on with our last review, Ring of Honor. We have various matches, but we do have a bit of a number one contendership and a proving ground match. So get ready for that. And then we cap up our episode with a very small news updates to give you guys update on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events and promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, do the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside, so it's time to buckle up and enjoy the ride. So, let's begin with, of course, with TNA. All right, TNA. So as you know, we are now on the Bound for Glory. So we got a lot of things we're going to be discussing from here on out. What matches will be set before we get there. So basically, we're going to be going piece by piece. Now, our first match is a pick your poison match. This is a match that was designed before Bound for Glory between PCO and Matt Cardona. Now, PCO, as you know, will face Cardona in Bound for Glory, but they will have a somewhat of a tune-up match. And for PCO's poison, Matt Cardona chose Rhino, who, as you know, is one of his closest friends. But of course, I don't think they care if they're friends or not. They just like to beat the crap out of each other. But unfortunately, this match ended with PCO with the PCO salt, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, we do see a bit of an interview with Gia Miller talking with, of course, the TNA World Champion Nick Meneth. Now, of course, Nick Meneth has a lot of things going on his mind. So basically, he knows about his upcoming match against Cardona due to the fact that he was chosen as part of the Pick the Poison thingy. And of course, he has his title match in Bound for Glory against Joe Hendry. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, of course, our next match, we have Ariana Grace, who is from the NXT brand, serves as a liaison for both TNA and NXT. Introduce one of the participants in this match, and that is Brinley Reese. She takes on, of course, and here comes that stupid stooge, whatever his name is, Ash by Elegance, to deal with this match. Now, of course, that stooge was intending to make sure that this match falls in her favor, and that's exactly what happened. And then, of course, the Swanton Bomb was the one thing that sealed the deal by Ash to win the match. And then, of course, she decided to do a little makeover, really insulting, until Zaya Brookside, thank God she shows up to deal with it. And, of course, we know that Zaya had dealt with Ash by Elegance before, but it's enough is enough. So we will see what happens until then. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting thing. We have the TNA X Division title versus Mike Bailey versus Leon Slater. Now, Slater won a #1 contendership, but I gotta say this, that match was unbelievably good. Now, those who know this about me or not, one of the few things that caught my attention about TNA back in the day was, in fact, the X Division title. It was one of those titles that caught my attention. I never said it was like one of the best. This was better than the world title. I'm like, wow, this was one of the most amazing titles I ever enjoyed. I have to say, you would have assumed. Now, of course, Mike Bailey has shown he's the best X Division champion. But however, he has to face against a young, sensational guy like Leon Slater. But unfortunately, Slater learned the hard way when Bailey applied the Flamingo driver, and just like that, it was over. Now, of course, Mike Bailey is all about respect, but he sees a lot of potential with Leon Slater, so he's teaching him, don't think of this as the end. You will get to that title, and he knows it. And of course, the door will always be open for another opportunity when that arrives. But however, apparently, as you know, he will be heading to Bound for Glory, and I'll get to that in a bit. Now, as you know, the ABC and the Hardys will team up. Well, they're not teaming up, but more like be part of the Full Metal Mayhem match for the TNA titles. However, of course, the ABC, of course, had a little nice conversation. The Hardys were like saying, look, we're not here to step, but we're trying to prove that, we are still handling. We feel now we're in the end of our rope. So basically, the ABC understand where they're coming from. I mean, you can tell like the walls are closing in for the Hardys. So this is one of those moments they want to be honest, saying, we can see a lot of future in you two, but for us, we know our time is almost running out. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, of course, we do see Steve Maclin to do a little promo after what happened last week. Now, if you guys remember what happened last week, Josh Alexander was taking on Eric Young until, of course, his buddies, Ikra and, of course, Williams took him out in the back. But of course, the Northern Armory showed up once again to do a little message of their own to send it loud and clear to Steve Maclin. And they brutalized them badly. But we will see what happens down the line for them. Now, Santino, along with his daughter Ariana, in fact, are discussing that little turnaround thing, whatever they call it, until they were interrupted by Kazarian. Now, as you know, Kazarian has been unhinged. He felt that it should have been him going to Bound for Glory. But of course, Santino cannot reverse the decision. So basically, that's what happened. So he said he has something planned. Now, our next match, we have Brian Myers versus Mike Santana. But however, this match was beyond a match. This was about annihilation at its best. Now remember, Mike Santana has an axe to grind against the system, more specifically Moose. Now, if you guys don't remember what the axe was about, here's a little recap. When Mike Santana made his return to TNA as a singles competitor, he has one goal in mind, and that is the TNA World Title. Now, there was that the Road to Slammiversary qualifier match that took place, and of course, Mike Santana was supposed to be there until Moose sent JDC to deal with him, and that's exactly costing him the opportunity. But now Mike Santana is out for blood. Now, of course, this was going to end with, of course, the system tried to annihilate him, but nope. Mike Santana took out the entire system except Moose. Now, of course, he went looking for him in the back, but unfortunately, Moose was ready for him, and we'll see what happens in Bound for Glory. Now, we did have a little face-to-face confrontation between both Masha Slamovich and Jordynne Grace. Now, remember, this is not the first time these two have faced off each other. Like a few years, about 2 or 3 years ago back, Masha did challenge Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts title. But now this is different, completely different from what it is. So basically, Jordynne Grace said what she needs to say, so will Masha. So we will see what happens. Now, before our main event, we have Frankie Kazarian making his way to the commentary booth. Of course, because he's watching Nick Bennett, who's going to be facing Matt Cardona in the, of course, Pick Your Poison. However, of course, there was going to be a lot of interesting moments in this match. But however, of course, the security were there to ensure things don't go well. Well, to protect Cardona. But of course, PCO showed up out of nowhere, costing Cardona the match. And then, of course, Cardona got his eye off the bat. And it was the Danger Zone that finished him off. And Nick Bennett win. And in a post-match, PCO carried Matt Cardona for wherever he goes. But of course, Kazarian attacked Bennett to send a message. Thank God for Hendry showed up. But however, it seems that Kazarian had a plan up his sleeve. And that plan is that he's going to be a referee in Bound for Glory in their title match. Now, of course, there's no doubt in my mind that Kazarian is desperate now that he has to gain the TNA World title. So we will see what happens in Bound for Glory. But for now, let's end it right here with TNA and move on with Ring of Honor. Okay, so Ring of Honor. So let's begin with our first match. We have, of course, the Spanish Announce Project, consisting of Angelico and Serpentico, take on Ren Jones and Derek Dillinger. Now, it's no surprise that this match was going to fall in favor with Spanish Announce Project, when, of course, both Serpentico and Angelico applied a submission of their own, making a double submission. But it was, of course, the legal man, Angelico, with the Navarro lock onto, of course, Ren Jones, forcing him to tap out. Now, we do see a bit of an interview with Lexi Neer talking with Rachel Ellering. We haven't seen her for a while, but however, once again, who treats her like a freaking newbie, Harley Cameron, once again with her usual shenanigans. Now, sooner or later, Rachel Ellering has to deal with her nonsense in some ways. Maybe give her a pounding in her face. I don't know, but something has to be done. Now, our next match, we have the Magical Girl, Yuka Sakazaki versus Viva Van. Of course, it's great to see Yuka Sakazaki. She's really fun. Viva Van, of course, California native. But I figured this match, of course, like many of you would think, that this was going to fall in favor with Yuka. And of course, it did when she applied the Magic Girl spell, I think. No, the Magical Girl splash, and just like that, it was over. So, just like that. Next, we have Nick Wayne versus Brian Cook. Yeah, this one ends with Nick Wayne applying Wayne's World, and just like that, and getting booed. Our next match, we have MXM Collection versus Midnight Heat. Of course, this match will fall in favor of MXM when they applied the centerfold. I don't remember who was it that got the centerfold, but it was right there. Our next match, we have Jack Cartwheel versus AR Fox. Well, these two guys are amazing high flyers. Also, on a note here, I did find out, those who don't know this or not, Ricochet actually put out an open challenge for anyone that will challenge him in Collision, and apparently that the response has been answered, and that person who responded to that is none other than AR Fox. So that's going to be, so I would consider this match for him like a warm-up before going up against one of the most out of this world wrestlers, Ricochet. And of course, you all think that this was going to be a very high spot type of match. It kind of did, but it was AR Fox who picked up the win with the 450, and just like that, it was done. Now, our next match we have John Cruz, who Serpentico hates, takes on Atlantis Jr. Now, of course, this was going to be an interesting thing. John Cruz tried even removing Atlantis Jr.'s mask, but however, that didn't do any well because Atlantis Jr. was able to pick up the win with the Frog Splash, and just like that, it was over. Now, this next match is a #1 contendership for the Ring of Honor World Television title. So, who's going to be Willie Mack or Commander? Well, it was a tough one. I was a bit biased on this one, to be honest with you. But it had to be Commander because we have seen him countless times more often in Ring of Honor, and he was able to apply the shooting star press onto him, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have the approving ground match for the ROH Women's World Title. Lady Frost, who issued the challenge, faced against Athena. Of course, it was going to be a brutal match, but however, Athena was able to apply the crossface, and just like that, it was completely over. But however, as you know, when it comes to Athena, her shenanigans never seems to stop. She tries to take out Lady Frost once again, but apparently Abaddon's team showed up, and Athena ran to the hills. So, like it was like a scary movie. She said she's not afraid of anybody. Well, looks like she is. So I think that's pretty much it right now with Ring of Honor. So let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin as always with, of course, with upcoming events with the promotions. Now in TNA, as you know, I reviewed it earlier. We had the Bound for Glory. Now this is going to be a bit of a surprise. It was announced, of course, who's going to be challenging Mike Bailey for the X Division title at Bound for Glory. Well, it was Hijo del Vikingo. I'm like, holy shit, man. Basically, that's going to be one hell of a match. I'm dying to see it, guys. I can't wait. I can't wait. Now, our next one, we have P.P.P. Tokyo with Party Soul on the 17th of November. It was Chanyota will be taking on Kaho Kobayashi. That's going to be an interesting one. These girls are all about muscles. So, that's going to be fun. As you know, every year the German promotion does this event called 16 Karat Gold, which is an annual tournament that would grant them an opportunity for a shot of the world title. Well, I don't know who's the #1 pick for this one because this happens. It will announce for 2025. Well, one called Manders is the second person to be announced. So I don't know who's the first, but that's what they said. Now on to developments. Two things coming out of TNA. The first one, we have a brand new signee. Casey Navarro is now signed with TNA, so it's going to be fun and interesting to see him there. And then finally, TNA will, as you know, TNA in every year during Bound for Glory, they have the Hall of Fame awards. Two names have been announced. That is, of course, Rhino and Bob Ryder. So that's going to be interesting. Now, many of you may or may not be familiarized with this Yoshi promotion in Japan called LLPW-X. Now, this is a promotion that based out of that was revived recently by Shinobu Kandori, who's also the same one who trained Nori, who recently participated in Mighty Gold's first round robin tournament. Of course, Dreamstar Grand Prix. Well, they just announced a brand new trainee has been announced, who's 18 years old, named Ayano. She'll be making her debut on the 18th of November at the TDC Hall. Now, I don't know if there's any ways to watch their events, but we'll see. Now, many of you know, as we speak, we do have the upcoming Tag League tournament, Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. This one, apparently Saori Anou talked about Natsupoi recently, and I think this one's a little funny, so let me put up what she said about it. Since our debut, people often said that Saori and Natsumi look like Tom and Jerry. So our tag name is Sam and Natsuri. But as we grown up, we changed it. So we're now Natsu and Sayuri. So we will show you the two of us wearing belts again. Now, of course, if you guys remember, last year Natsupoi and Saori Anou had to relinquish the tag belts due to an injury that, of course, Natsupoi suffered, but it's understandable. Now, President Okada of Taro Okada, the president of Stardom, talked about, of course, doing diplomacy with other promotions that could inspire American territory system, and he had this to say: Japan is not a large country, so it's not like we split into regions. But I hope that we can each promotion will be able to show their individuality and then come together in some way. It would heavily handed for one of our promotion unifying the industry, but it's also not good for fans to be divided and repeat the promotion splits. In that sense, I think the old America territory is also a good idea. So basically, he had thoughts about doing work with other promotions, in different territories, which is understandable. But we'll see where that leads them for them. I know people have recently talked that Taro Okada is a worse booker, but we'll see where that leads them. So I think we are done for now. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have, of course, AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. I'm still a bit behind with Mighty Gold, so hopefully I catch up. There's a recent Sendai Girls event, All Japan, and all that. Hopefully I get to all of it. Now, there is a tournament that set up by Sendai Girls. I was unable, don't know if I will be able to see that, but we'll see how things will roll up as we go. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.